Hey, Yanis. Hopefully that was helpful to you. Jacky was a bit of a quicker interviewee, so not too much to debrief here. But what's he switching from? So for me, it's this sort of written post, the long form writing that he's putting together. He's struggling with a bit because it's taking him a long time. He's obviously not a writer, so he's taken a course on that, but it's still a bit of a struggle. And then he's joined your course on the lower price tier. Now, hopefully, I think when we first started on this, I think you said, I can't remember whether it was in the setup or whatever, it's like, what are we going to do if we just end up with 12 different individual stories? How are we going to deal with this? At this stage in the research, I'm starting to pull threads and see stories that are similar. And in this case, I think he's most similar to Aditi, sorry. So if you look at this, okay, there's some backstory here about business, but actually in his case, that's not relevant. That's not what's driving this, other than it's caused him to go off and start looking at personal growth content, which he sees on social media. And he's got this desire to publish his own and to get that stuff out there. And so he starts to do this and he starts to learn and say, well, actually, if I want to do that, I've got to improve my writing skills, I've got to improve my communications so that I can communicate like other people that I see and I aspire towards. And he's doing this, to begin with, it's just, I'll just get this off my chest. But later it's, I would like to help others. So he does want to grow his audience, but it's not the primary reason that he's doing this stuff. What I found interesting here, and as I thought through this again, so he's on Substack, he's paying to follow some people on there, he spends about 10 or 20 minutes a day on there. And he also goes on to LinkedIn a couple of times a week. And then what he does with that is he captures these ideas or the thoughts or whatever it is, the personal growth recommendations that he's found on Substack, and he translates that into Chinese for his audience in China. So he's kind of taking content from one place and he's repurposing it and he's giving it off somewhere else. And if you look back at Aditi's interview, she talks about taking memes or taking ideas when she first started looking at visual ideas and saying, well, why don't I just repurpose this? And it's this desire to move away from repurposing something and toward being able to create it myself that pulls me into this course. When we look at this, again, he's had a similar sort of epiphany, I suppose. So most people don't seem to be looking for visual courses. They're not, it's not like they're wandering around going, oh, I really, really, really need to learn about visual ideas. But when they see a visual idea expressed in a simple and clear way, the penny drops. This is what creates the first thought, I think, where it's like, wow, like if you look at Aditi's call, it's I can get that emotional resonance. So when something resonates with me, I could go and get that resonance with others. And if I'm trying to communicate with them, how do I get us on the same wavelength and get the emotions aligned with one another? This isn't an expensive course for him. He's not bothered about $200. He put it through his business. But much like Aditi, didn't sign up to the top tier package because he's not going to use it now. So it's not like he's seen this and he was clamoring to go and create visuals. Like I think if you look at some of the others that we've interviewed, maybe Kieran on the first one, where he gets to a point where I want to go and do this now. That's not what this is about. It's about doing it in the future. And if I'm doing it in the future, then I'm not in an urgent hurry. I probably what am I going to do in a session with you if all I'm doing is trying to learn a new skill and trying to brush up on some techniques and maybe learn how to draw. Your messaging there lands again. So, lots of people who are in this space. And I guess, maybe people who are good at art don't need a course. Perhaps they're off communicating clearly and visually already and they don't even think it's a problem. And it's only those of us that sucked at art at school who suddenly think, wow, there's a new communication style that maybe I need. So it doesn't have massively high expectations, and I wouldn't take that the wrong way. I don't think he's looking at it thinking, oh, this is going to be a crap course. I think it's just, it doesn't matter. He's interested in it. It's a small amount of money. He obviously follows you and found your posts useful, and so therefore, he doesn't. There's not a lot you need to do to delight and to wow him in here. He's happy with what he's got, and again, he's gone through about a third of it so far. And so if you look at the pushes, I'm posting long form written content. It's taking a long time. I've seen an idea expressed visually, and I realised that this could be, this is that meaningful communication that I think Aditi talked about as well. I'm looking for ways to improve myself and my communications. I've got no talent for art. I'm not sure these are pushes. Like I struggle with this. Sometimes it is quite hard to because the pushes are always framed in this sort of past piece. So obviously I have no talent in art, so therefore I'll talk about it in past tense. But so I've put it in here, but it's probably more so I can believe that I've got over there. It won't be too hard for someone with my level of artistic talent. So I think this is probably more a pull, but I'll keep it here at the moment in any case, because I do think, if you see a post, an artistic post, you kind of push to say, that looks awesome, but I don't have these skills. It's kind of pushing me to think about, should I go in there? Should I go and learn how to do this? So again, he's kind of a content magpie. I'm going to go and take other stuff, pivot it, and present it over to my audience. I'm a bit frustrated by the way I'm doing this, and then he has some time to think at the moment. So he's got that kind of there's a bit of space in his calendar where this makes sense, and so therefore he can go through it very quickly. What does he want to do? Express himself meaningfully in an easy to understand manner. Know that it's not too hard. Post something to help others in my audience. So I'm not sure, but this was partly about kind of self-expression, but also toward the end it's like, well, why don't I help others who struggle with this? I just want to learn a little bit. I just want to improve my drawing skills. I'm not trying to race to the end here and score the touchdown. I'm happy just to move the ball a few yards up the pitch. Communicate something simply, communicate more effectively. So these are the pulls that I saw in here. Again, same anxiety. So do I need this expensive option if I'm not intending to use it right now? Will it be too hard for me to learn? And then the habits of the existing ones, and then copying that there. So then down here I've just given some observations which I just think match and mirror what Aditi's trying to do. So it'll be interesting as we interview a few more people. Do we get more people like this, where it's kind of climbing? It's not even the content ladder, which I think is what I called Aditi's. It's like the communications ladder. I see something, I read somebody else's comms, and I think, hey, I'd like to be able to do that, but I don't have it. So then I'll learn, I'll pay people to help me improve and to layer up and to build new skills. And that's what this one's all about, if you ask me. So hopefully this helps, and let's carry on and see what else we learn. Cheers.